earlier this summer, I heard this phrase that goes like this: you can't step into the same river twice. Isn't that the greatest? You can't step in the same river twice. And so I did a little bit of research and I found out that this originates from an ancient Greek philosopher, Heraclitus. And what it means is that you can't, what it conveys is that the idea that everything is constantly changing. So just as a river is always flowing and its waters are never the same from one moment to the next, life is also in a continuous state of flux. What this means is that when you step into that same river again, both you and the river have changed. Time has passed, new experiences have influenced both the river's flow and your own perspective. So today we're going to address coherence. And what I mean by that is that coherence focuses on aligning your values, your beliefs, and your actions to create harmony in one's life. And this requires an understanding that life is dynamic, that it's not static. So what was important to us 10 years ago may not be important to us now. What was important to us a year ago may not be as important to us now. We've changed, and we need to recognize that the career and life that we're living may no longer be in sync with who we are or what's important to us. So just as the river changes, so do we. We have new priorities, we have new interests, we have new requirements for the career and life that we want. So we're on week 2 of approaching your life like a designer, experimenting, prototyping, and iterating. Each week for the rest of the year, it's September, I'll be sharing a new idea to help you take control of your future in a way that's creative, flexible, and personal. So in this episode of Authentic Career and Life Design, we explore the ancient Greek metaphor, you can't step into the same river twice, and how it relates to finding coherence in your ever-changing life. So we're going to learn how to embrace change, make practical adjustments, and stay connected to your core values, even when faced with challenges. So we're going to highlight 3 things: understanding the flow of change and coherence. Number 2, practice activities for realigning your values and actions. And we're going to share real life stories of overcoming frustration and finding purpose. So let's navigate the river of change together and create a life that truly resonates with who you are. Welcome back to Authentic Career and Life Design, where we talk about all things career, including job search, resume writing, career transitions, and academic pursuits, and now designing your life. So I'm your host, Laura, and I'm not your fly-by-night career coach. I've got 30 years of experience, my entire career, helping individuals just like you navigate the complex world of career choices with clarity, confidence, and authenticity. So today we're covering the topic of embracing change while creating coherence. Remember that? You can't step into the same river twice. So are you ready? Let's get designing your authentic career and life. Again, we're going to talk about embracing change as a core element of coherence. So coherence is not a one-time achievement. You don't get coherent and then you're done. It's an ongoing process. Just as the river constantly changes, so do the conditions of our lives. So to maintain coherence, we need to regularly assess and realign our actions with our evolving values and circumstances. So things happen, people get married, people have children, people lose love, all those different things. So to help you begin this process, I've outlined kind of a brief activity that's inspired by life design principles. And this is called the Values Action Check-in, and it will guide you through understanding how your current actions align with your core values and what adjustments might need to be made, if any. All right, so I'm going to walk you through it. I'm also going to put it up here on the screen. And this episode has a companion blog with a handout that walks you through this exercise as well. So the first thing I want you to do is identify your top 3 current values. This might take you 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes to do that. Pause this episode and think about it. I want you to ask yourself these 3 things. What are the 3 most important values guiding your life right now? 3 most important values guiding your life right now. So this could be anything from creativity, from family, from growth, security, adventure, health. All right, 3 most important values. I want you to write those down. Pause this episode, Write them down. Okay, you have your 3 values. Maybe you have more. I want you to just do 3 though, because if we have 10, then that makes things much harder. So now that you have your 3 most important values, I want you to reflect on your most recent actions. So maybe think about the decisions that you've made, the way you've spent your time over the past 1 or 2 weeks. That's it. So if you need to grab your calendar and look at what you did, I want you to write down the key activities or decisions in different areas of your life, right? Just write down those things. So think about your work. What decisions did you make it work? How did you spend your time and energy on work projects, right? The next is your personal relationships. What decisions, what activities, how did you spend your free time when it was involved in personal relationships? Think about your health. What kind of decisions have you made around your health in the last couple of weeks? If you've made any, right? What could be some other things? Financially, have you made any different financial decisions in the last couple of weeks? Okay, so I want you to reflect on those. Go ahead and pause if you need to, if you don't have them all. Just write down maybe 10 to 15 or more activities or decisions that you've made in the last couple of weeks. Now I want you to ask yourself this: which of these actions is aligned with my current values? So as you look at each of those that you've made, so maybe you got a big purchase. How does that align? Remember our 3 values: aligned, misaligned. Which ones are aligned and which ones are not aligned? Just make a little mark. Star by the ones that are aligned. Maybe cross out the ones that weren't, or an X by those. You got it? All right. So now we really need to look at that. What are the things that you've been doing that are misaligned, so that don't match those values? For example, are you spending time on an obligation that has nothing to do with your values? Okay. Most likely, it's probably draining you. All right. What are those things that are out of alignment? Maybe it's a project at work that you've had to work on that really you hate doing, or it just takes so much out of you, or you're only doing it because you think it will help you get the raise that you want, right? So look at that. Identify your misalignments. And then what I want you to do is think about, why do those misalignments exist? Are they due to habit? Are you just doing them? Is it external pressure? So you feel an obligation from someone or something that has some sort of power over you that's requiring you to do those? Or is it simply a change of circumstance? This is what I've got to do right now. I've got a parent who's sick right now and I just have to go all in, right? So a changing circumstance. So take a couple minutes. Again, pause this if you need to think about what are the misalignments and what might be causing those. Why do those exist? Now what I want you to do is choose one small action that you can take this week to better align with just one of your top values, okay? So maybe you stop doing something on your list that's out of alignment, or maybe you start doing something that maybe doesn't change anything on your list, but you add something that would give you more alignment, right? So if you want to have more alignment with finances or with work or with your relationships, maybe you reach out to a friend. Actually, I've moved to my new city almost 7 years ago, and I have a friend from years ago who lives here, and she and I have not gotten in touch. We make plans, we cancel, then there was COVID. We've gotten so busy. And yesterday I thought, I have to make this happen, and she mentioned it too. So I reached out to her and I said, tell me what your schedule looks like in the next 2 weeks. Let's get together. That would be in alignment with my personal relationships, getting in touch with an old friend. So think about that. Pause this if you need to. Again, what's a small action? Maybe it's setting a boundary. Maybe it's saying no. Maybe it's clearing your schedule. Maybe you've got a whole bunch of things that you don't really want to do. Call, cancel, right? Maybe that's what it is. So this is a step-by-step process. I know we did it really quickly, but I think that this is really helpful for people to do on a regular basis. Do a check-in with yourself. What are my 3 values? What are my activities over the last couple weeks? Which of those activities align with my values, which don't? What tweaks can I make to realign and better work towards my values? So what this does is allows us to have a deeper understanding of how we realign our actions with our values. And the next step is really exploring some flexibility in that alignment. So what we're going to do is think about what's your why. So knowing your why is crucial in making decisions, and it may involve trade-offs, right? Such as staying in a less fulfilling job for its benefits. That's actually the example I'm going to use. So here we go. So flexibility and alignment, know your why. We want to recognize that both you and your environment are in constant flux. Remember the river analogy for both of us. And this allows us to be more adaptable. And coherence doesn't mean being rigid consistency. It's about staying connected to your core values while being flexible enough to adjust as new experiences and challenge arise. So it doesn't mean I always do it this way, so I'm always going to do it this way, no matter whether or not it's still working for me, right? So sometimes specific priorities like financial stability or having great health insurance or having a good educational reimbursement for my job take precedence, even if the work itself doesn't fully align with the deeper sense of purpose. So understanding and embracing these priorities can be crucial in finding coherence. So remind yourself that it's okay to prioritize practical benefits. Maybe you're working because you need these things right now, and maybe your job isn't that great or you don't love it, but you're doing it because it aligns with one of those top 3 values for you. Okay, so when a job provides practical perks but lacks fulfillment, it helps us to connect to our long-term why. Okay, so for instance, if free tuition is helping you gain a degree or save up for a more fulfilling career, then you can see that this current situation, it's a stepping stone for me towards alignment down the road. Reframing your mindset can also help let go of that guilt or dissatisfaction. Instead of seeing a job as just for the money or the perks, think of it as I'm doing this because this is the smart, strategic decision that supports my larger goals. Right? So I'm not just doing it for the money, but I'm doing it for the money so that I can pay off my mortgage. Or I'm doing it for the money so that I can save up and retire a little bit early. So think about what that money piece means to you so you have that why. Paying off loans, furthering your education, supporting your family right now so your spouse can stay home and raise the children, whatever it is that you want to do, right? So I'm going to share a case study with you, and this is called Karen's Journey. And this is a true story. Several years ago, a dear friend of mine, Karen, she reached out for advice about a job that was really becoming increasingly frustrating. The job came with a constant revolving door of leadership, and it seemed to offer little room for advancement. And despite her growing dissatisfaction, there was a significant perk to this job, which was free college tuition for her 3 children who were teenagers at the time. So Karen was really at a crossroads. The job that she once loved, and she loved the work, right? So she loved it, but it was really becoming a source of stress and frustration. And she faced late hours, a real lack of direction with the constant changeover, and just not having that clear direction from the leadership. And so it felt like a never-ending cycle that made her question, like, is this really worth it? And so working together, Karen and I were able to help her see, and she was able to shift her perspective. And how she did that was she let go of the frustration overshadowing her experience, and she focused on the profound benefit the job offered, a chance to give her children a college education without a huge financial burden that many of us are facing today. So she realized that her personal dissatisfaction, it was just temporary, right? Temporary. It was a hurdle compared to the long-term advantage of securing her children's future. And so by adjusting her mindset, Karen found a new sense of purpose. She consciously reduced her hours and chose to embrace the job's positives rather than dwell on the negatives. This is a hard thing. I know we get stuck there. But this shift allowed her to navigate the job with greater ease and less frustration. It doesn't mean she doesn't still get frustrated, but she can keep going back to her why. So the results speak for themselves. One son has graduated and is thriving in his career. A second one is enjoying his study abroad year in Spain right now. And the third is a sophomore just making her way in college. So Karen's decision to focus on the long-term benefit transformed her work experience from a source of daily irritation to a pivotal part of her family's success. So Karen's story really highlights the power of reframing, which we talked a little bit about last week, but reframing one's mindset. By focusing on the long-term benefits rather than the daily frustration, she was able to turn a challenging situation into really a remarkable achievement. So back to coherence, keeping coherence in your work. So to help you apply these concepts to your own life, I want you to consider another exercise, which is the purpose reflection exercise. And this activity will guide you through understanding how your current job aligns with your values and your long-term goals. Right. So again, this podcast has a companion blog, and I've got a handout that kind of walks through this as well. But the first thing I want you to do is get a piece of paper or a blank Word document, however you do things, and really reflect on your role. So what I mean is write down your current job title and a brief description of your main responsibilities. I mean, you could get out your formal job description, but really just look at your calendar. If you're like me, I block off everything I do every day, or I write down and keep notes. But look at it and write down what are the main buckets of your responsibility, and ask yourself, what aspects, so all the things I wrote down, maybe 10, 15, 20 things that I do on a regular basis, which of those aspects of my job align with my values or my passions? What do I love? Okay. When I do this with clients, I like to have them do a circle, right? So you fill in the circle. If it's a completely half circle, so you have a circle, you only fill in halfway. Empty circle, not at all. Right? Think of it as your little bucket. Now what I want you to do is identify what are your personal contributions. So consider how your work contributes to the organization or the community. And just draw a line, kind of do the same thing. So even if your role itself is unfulfilling, there might be elements of your work that provide you value. So I want you to ask yourself, how does my work make a difference? How does my work make a difference? What positive impact does it have, however small? So maybe the work you do helps the sales team get bigger sales so that they can meet their sales goals. Or maybe the work you do is teaching children, adults, people of any kind to help them learn the tasks that they need to be productive citizens. Maybe you're in the medical field, right? What are those things? So again, the question is, how does my work make a difference? What positive impact does it have? Write those down. So the next part is connecting those to your personal goals. So reflect on how this job helps you achieve your professional and personal goals. So remember I said before about Karen's story, what might be your connection? Financial stability, skill development, networking, gets you out of the house. You work with great people. It gives you a social aspect that you know would be missing if you didn't work there, right? How does your work connect to your personal goals? The question you want to answer is, how does staying in this job support my larger life goals or my aspirations? How does it do that? Identify your core values. So list your top 3 core values. And we already did this in the earlier exercise, but go back to that list. So when you look at your core values, now I want you specifically to think about your work. In what ways does my job align with or support those goals? So for me, I really love helping people and The work that I do, when I started my career, I met with so many students. I had, student appointment after student appointment, and really helping students figure out who they are, who they want to be, and really help them achieve a goal, whether that's just helping them with their resume or helping them decide on a major or get into grad school, all of those things. Now the work I do is mostly supporting my team of people who do those things, but also creating the resources for those students to be successful. So how does it connect to those? The next step is visualizing that future impact. So imagine that your future self is looking back on right now, this period of time that you're in right now, and how will you feel about the choices that you're making in this job? Will you regret that you stayed in this job so long? Or will you be really proud of yourself for the accomplishments that you're making? What will you have learned or accomplished during this time that will be meaningful for you later on? What impact does this period in time for you at work have on your future self? And if I could give you an assignment, I would, but write a purpose statement. So based on your reflections, kind of draft a brief statement, right? So I'm staying in this role because it allows me to support my family while developing skills that will help me transition to a more fulfilling career path in the future. I'm staying in this role right now because it allows me the paycheck and skill development to work on my side hustle in the evenings and on the weekends. I'm staying in this position because it will allow me to earn, and the company match to my retirement will allow me to retire early. Okay, you get what I'm saying? So, what's important to you? What are you getting out of your current position? And how does it help your future self? That's your personal statement. And then really plan for that alignment. So identify one small action again that you can take within your current job to better align with your purpose or your values. So ask yourself, what's one change I can make today to feel more connected to my why? So that could be writing out the quote of your why, or put a picture of your kids in your cubicle, or just have a little reminder on your phone. Change your password so that this is my why, so that you remember that. So just as you can't step into the same river twice, you won't be the same person in a week or a month or a year. So Coherence really supports this by encouraging you to continuously think about, what are your goals? What are your actions? And how do you remain aligned with your evolving self? So it's about integrating these changes into the purposeful path forward. Reflecting on your values, identifying misalignments, and making purposeful adjustments are essential steps in creating a life and career that resonates with your evolving self. Remember, coherence isn't about achieving perfect harmony right away, but about continuously realigning your actions with your deepest values and long-term aspirations. Are you ready to embrace the flow of change and find coherence in your own journey? Take a few moments today to engage in the purposeful reflection exercise that's linked here, and by understanding your why and making intentional adjustments, you can transform challenges into opportunities and turn temporary setbacks into stepping stones toward a more fulfilling future. Share your insights and progress in the comments below, or connect with me on social media. How has reframing your perspective helped you find coherence in your life and career? Let's continue this conversation and support each other on the path to purposeful living. Thanks for tuning in to Authentic Career and Life Design. I don't want you to miss an episode, so subscribe to my podcast, YouTube channel, or the blog. You can do that by going to authentic-careers.com or contact me at laura@authentic-careers.com. If you found this episode helpful, leave me a review and share it with someone who you think it might help. If you want to work with me, start with a free 15-minute discovery call by heading to authentic-careers.com. discovery. Okay, have a great day. And remember, you can't step into the same river twice, but you can continue to realign and grow and develop a career that's authentic, made just for you. Thanks. Bye-bye.